With me now from Pennsylvania's 12th Congressional District, Representative Fred Keller. Congressman, thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me, Liz. It's a pleasure to be here and discuss the issues that are going on here in Washington, D.C.
All right, Congressman, talk to me about the Inspector General report. Your Democrat colleagues in Congress and the mainstream media are acting as though this report exonerates the Obama administration's FBI and Department of Justice. But if you so much as open this report, it seems to me that it shows just the opposite.
Well, I think you're seeing the same thing happen with the Democrats and the mainstream media, or what we would have come to know as fake news, talk about and selectively pick parts of things to create their narrative. It's important to note that, Mr. Durham and Attorney General Barr have looked at this and have some disagreements. And, where there's inaccuracies in FICE applications, where there was, information that wasn't truthful in the dossier, that wasn't verified. It just shows the continuing narrative, and I think it should be concern of all American citizens that these things happened to investigate an American citizen running for president, then getting elected president. And if they're going to do that to our president, what can they do to us, as far as citizens, when they don't like our political agenda? And, it just shows more of that bias, as we're seeing with these impeachment hearings that have gone on. First, the auditions in private, and then the witnesses, again, the same ones that auditioned in private were toted out in front of the American people. And everything we've seen in that realm, when things were made public and we were able to question them, and the American people were able to see it, it was shown that there was a lot of feelings, there was a lot of presumptions, there was a lot of hearsay, but really nothing there. But the important part is, when we look at this, and you look at what's happened, the 17 times where there were inaccuracies in the FISA applications, there was, misrepresentation. And when you look at some of the people that were at the heart of this investigation in the FBI, Peter Strzok and Laura Page, and you look at what they did and their pattern of behavior, there were truly Democrats. There's truly using our government to spy on, wiretap, and sue the president and his associates even before he was elected president, because they were fearful that he was going to get down to the heart of what really needs to happen here in America, and that is the fact that the government has to be given back to the people, and the people in the swamp don't like that.
No.
And they've been trying to take him down since day one.
Right. No, I think you're right, and I want to dive deeper into something that you mentioned before when you said if they committed these abuses, what other types of abuses might they have committed? And I think a perfect example of that today is the reaction from former FBI Director James Comey, who is acting as though this exonerates everything. He said, there was no treason, no wiretapping, no wrongdoing. This report shows that this was just, I think his quote was, good people protecting America. And to be honest, Congressman, that really scared the pants off me, because you look at what's detailed in this Inspector General report. Well, the FBI never corroborated the Steele dossier, yet the dossier was central to spying on Carter Page. These claims came without documentation. If they did this to Carter Page, where else is this abuse? Because the top guy at the FBI thought it was fine.
Well, when they're taking political bias and weaponizing our government to protect, who are they protecting us from? Who are they protecting the American people from? Their choice as President of the United States? A legitimate person to come out and says, hey, I want to do what's right. I want to make America great again. I want to make sure the people have the say in their government. They're protecting us from that? I mean, again, when I looked and watched the testimony and saw what was happening from this whole impeachment sham, it's just a continuation of what started back in 2016, back in 2015, when of course, everybody thought that, Donald Trump, he'll never get elected. You can watch the fake news, and you can see what they did. They laughed at the president. They laughed at Donald Trump as candidate, and he'll never. And then when he did get elected, it's their insurance policy, and they said it. They said it, and now they're trying to undo that, and they're trying to say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It is a very, very big deal when our government is weaponized against its and used as a weapon against political opponents. So that's the taxpayers that fund our government. And these people are trying to say that, oh, well, you know, we need to protect you. But no, what needs to happen is we need to make sure that our government isn't used as a weapon just because they disagree with somebody's policies.
Right. Amen to that. I mean, speaking of our taxpayer money, it was our taxpayer money that the FBI and the Department of Justice used to pay Christopher Steele for information on General Michael Flynn. Our tax money was used in the FBI's, essentially their entrapment of General Flynn here. They abused the FISA court process. And honestly, any Democrat, any mainstream media talking head who's coming to the defense of the FBI after looking at the details of this report, that type of attitude is a danger for our country because it allows government bureaucrats with their biases, their political biases, to weaponize the government against private citizens. And that's not how a republic works. That's not how a democracy works. That's how a tyrannical government controls their people. Congressman Keller, thank you, sir, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. The thing I want to say is there's a lot of good people in the FBI. There's just some people in politics that have used some of those people that they agreed with in the FBI. So I don't want to make it sound like everybody in the FBI. There's a lot. It's like any organization. There's a lot of trustworthy people in it. It's just there's some that think that they know better than the rest of us, and they and the Democrats have used and weaponized our judicial system against the American people. Quite frankly, when they use these FISA warrants to gather information against the political candidate Donald Trump and our president and his associates.
Right, and that corruption unfortunately seemed to happen at the top of the FBI, which does give the appearance of the leadership and the decisions coming from the leadership of being quite polluted. But I grant your point to you that, of course, every person working there is not as corrupt as James Comey himself. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.